Hi, I'm Steven, the host of the MENA Surge podcast, your ultimate source for Web3 and FinTech-related news in the MENA region. We're powered by FinTech Surge and Future Blockchain Summit in association with GITEX Global, an integral part of Expand North Star taking place October 13th through 16th at Dubai Harbour. We're excited to be partnering with Web3 TV and its host Ornella Hernandez for Web3 Talks.
Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of the Web3 Talks. My name is Ornella Hernandez and I am here with my co-host Stephen Best, and we have a special guest today, Paul Dawalibi, who is the CEO of HoloDeck Ventures. How are you today?
Doing great. Happy to be here.
Yeah, happy to have you on. We're going to talk about all things gaming, metaverse, and all that good stuff. But first, Paul, just wanted to ask you, I know that you have a nickname. People call you The Prophet.
The Prophet,
yeah.
I do. This was
So where does that come from?
Something that developed over time. I used to have a very big podcast. Millions of people listen to this podcast every week. It was the biggest gaming industry podcast in the world. And I would have these segments where I would prophesize the future, talk about the future.
Okay.
And inevitably, these prophecies would come true because I am the prophet. And what would end up happening is as more and more came true, people started calling me the prophet. Today, I spell it with an F.
Right.
As a little.
Because you make them profit.
I make them profit
Gotcha.
If people listen to my prophecies.
Okay, love that. Love that double entendre there.
That's it.
Okay, Paul. So tell us what you are working on now. I know that you hold many hats. In addition to being a host at CNBC, you're also a VC, an entrepreneur. So you're always working on multiple things at a time. So what has your attention today?
Gaming, in one word, and fun. Fun is the core of everything I'm doing. And I'll explain a little bit. I spent 25 years on one side of the VC table or another. So I was either managing institutional venture funds or building companies, backing companies, advising companies, startups, tech startups. And about 8 years ago, I realized that the world had changed. Something major had happened. And that shift was this gaming thing, which I used to do from a very young age, but did in the basement with my brother. You didn't tell girls about it, that was for sure.
Too nerdy.
Too nerdy. All of a sudden had its moment in the spotlight, right? Ninja was like on the Today Show and on Ellen. People were playing Fortnite, like it was all the rage. All of a sudden gaming was elevated to mainstream status. And I saw what was happening and I realized that there was going to be this major inflection point where gaming would not only become the biggest form of entertainment, which it is today. It's far bigger than music, movies, and TV combined. It's like 5 times the size of the movie industry just on its own. So it's already the biggest form of entertainment, but where I believe, and I've built this thesis around fun, gaming becomes the biggest industry on the planet, by far. And we're not talking about trillions, we're talking tens of trillions. Gaming and gamification seep into everything. That's what I'm excited about. And that's what I spend a lot of time investing in, building, evangelizing, consulting with governments, you name it. It's all about building gaming ecosystems.
Great. And you mentioned that it all starts with fun. Fun is the most important thing, but you know, games have been fun for a very long time, but in the last 8 years, it blew up. What happened? Did it just become more fun? Is it better games? Why is it? Why
Different
is it changed?
types of games.
Look, fun, I believe, is actually the killer app. You know, people love to talk about killer apps. Fun is the killer app. And I, in fact, trademarked the phrase, the future is fun. Because I believe...
I hope so.
And it's interesting because I'm sure you've had people on this chair talking about AI, right? AI now is all the rage. That's the trend. But if you believe the AI people, what are they saying? That AI is going to take our jobs, AI is going to replace us, it's going to do all the work for us, right? And so in my mind, as an investor, as a futurist, I'm thinking, okay, the machines have continued to do more work for us over the last 2,000 years of civilization, right? AI is now going to do an increasing amount of work for us. So what happens? Work is shrinking. And in fact, it's one of the most consistent trends through human history. We work much less than we used to because so much of machinery and computers and technology does work for us. So work's shrinking. What does that mean? What is the implication of work shrinking?
Is it shrinking or just changing?
It's shrinking. It's shrinking. We work a lot less, right? I don't have to get up at 5 a.m. to till a field where I might have had to before, or get up at 6 to fish, to feed, you know,
well, less manual labor, I guess.
It's also time and less manual.
Yeah.
But that means what happens is we have much more time for recreation.
Right.
And as we move into this future where AI will think for us, AI will do work for us, right? The pace at which technological innovation's advancing, there's a future where maybe 80-90% of all our time will be recreation time, will be fun.
Do we want that though? Is that the future that we're striving towards?
Look, you can get into the ethical and moral argument of it, which is an interesting discussion. But as the prophet, what I'm thinking about is where is there money to be made?
Right.
And I'd rather be betting on that growing piece of the pie, that fun piece, than the shrinking piece of the pie, which is the work piece.
Of course. Okay. So then we have more traditional video games, right? Console games, even internet games. But we also have now a bunch of Web3 games or games that include maybe NFTs or blockchain-based elements in the game, right? And then we also have the idea of gamifying everyday experiences. So I think that the definition of gaming has really broadened. And like you said, there was an inflection point in the last decade or so. And I think everyone's trying to gamify everything from everyday experiences to the regular casual games that we play. So my question is how do you rate this evolution?
Yeah.
And what is it that we're actually like trying to build here if everything's supposed to be gamified?
So I'm a purist, okay? And what I mean by that is, to me, gaming is this term, and I elevate it to the highest level, and it encompasses everything. I define gaming as the creation of virtual worlds. Okay? So that encompasses, if you define it that way, it can encompass a lot of things, including metaverse, right? So metaverse is maybe a more recent term that people have got quite hyped about.
Yeah.
I think metaverse was always just a fancy word for gaming. It was a word that people came up with so that investors who maybe said, gaming's for kids, I don't want to invest in things for kids, now could invest in something very serious.
Okay, the adult version?
The adult version, right? So
just a marketing
spin, right?
Okay.
So I think metaverse, for the most part, was a marketing term. Where I took issue was when crypto and Web3 sort of latched onto gaming.
Right.
Because then the term, I think, has become confused and bastardized a little bit. And what I mean by this is the following. I think what happened was people lost track of what is at the core of gaming and gamification. And that's a great question, by the way, around gamification of everything. But they latched onto gaming because gaming was hot, metaverse was hot, and they tried to apply crypto and Web3 principles to it, which is all about ownership. It's all about being able to sell and earn, and right? It's all about the token and the value of the token. When in reality, the core of gaming has always been fun. I'm going to come back to this word a lot. And the transaction with gaming is very simple. I play a game, I give them my money to play the game, and in return, I get fun. Right? When you go to a Taylor Swift concert,
I'm not a fan. Actually. Sorry.
Oh, fan of who?
Dua Lipa.
Dua Lipa. You go to a Dua Lipa concert, even better. Right? When you leave, if Dua Lipa doesn't cut you a check, do you leave upset?
No.
You got your value.
No. I wanted to see her sing. Yeah.
That's the trade.
Yeah.
Right.
She entertains me and I pay her.
Right.
And with gaming, that's always been the trade. I pay, I get fun in return.
Yeah.
For some reason, the entire Web3 and crypto community believes that's not enough, or that in some way they can replace that and say, play to earn, play to own. So you're going to spend a lot of hours playing, but in return, you're going to get some token, or you're going to get some NFT, or you're going to get some digital asset, which now you can own and trade and all these things that they love to talk about. But they lost track of what was really important, which is the fun. If you don't have the fun, the NFT doesn't matter, the ownership doesn't matter, the earning doesn't matter. Gamers don't care.
Right.
They don't care. And that has proven out, right? Any current sort of initiative, big initiative around gaming and NFTs, for example, has failed. Gamers have thoroughly rejected it. If you look at Web3 games, the statistics is huge. It's like 90+% have less than 1,000 players. Very tiny.
For now, I think people are trying to build better games.
That's in some ways a good argument, but it's also, I think, the weakest argument. It's, we're too early, wait and see, right? Those things are coming. Yeah, maybe the future will change things, but from what I see, and if you go into these Web3 game communities or crypto game communities, on Discord, for example, if you go into those chat rooms, they're not talking about, is this sword better than that sword to kill this boss? They're not talking about, how do you complete this quest? It's all to the moon, and what's the token price doing, and diamond hands and paper hands, and right? It's about the token, not about the game.
Okay, that makes sense.
If I could, another perspective is, what about like Pokemon, for example? You do collect very rare, and you own that.
Yep.
And you could sell that for a lot more than what you bought it for.
Yep.
Is that not just a similar way of saying, okay, well, you can also tokenize components within a game and say, it is about the ownership. You can get a certain exclusive, rare operator skin and then sell it because you own it.
Yep.
You know, is that not a use case that actually makes sense based on a real case scenario? Great
question, a great point. The problem is all new features, all new benefits always come with some amount of friction. In other words, if you want to change the way someone's doing something, the benefit has to outweigh the cost of making that change, right? So today, I can play Counter-Strike, which I do, and I have a huge collection of Counter-Strike skins. Very valuable. It's my retirement plan, in fact. Okay? I was mining Bitcoin when Bitcoin was at like $50.
Yeah.
And I thought I was a genius because I was buying Counter-Strike skins with my Bitcoin. But those Counter-Strike skins, you're right, are assets. And today I can trade them, I can sell them. You can go on Steam Marketplace and sell them. So I can do all the things that you can do with blockchain and crypto, but I don't need blockchain and crypto to do it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
The same way, you're right, Pokemon, you can play and collect Pokemon, but you don't need blockchain and crypto to do it. Right. So if you want to introduce that tokenization, what is the benefit? Because there's a cost, right? The cost is now to play that game or to sign up, you need a crypto wallet. Okay, now the universe of potential users, my total addressable market goes from 3 billion gamers to 300 million active crypto wallets. So I've reduced the size of my market by a factor of 10. The benefit has to be great to offset that cost. There's friction, there's complication, it's confusing for people who are not used to it, who are not crypto native. And so the benefit's not there yet. I'm not saying it will never be there, but today it's not obvious.
Paul, you sound a bit like a crypto skeptic, but at the same time, you said you've been mining for a long time and you're in the industry. So what's the inner conflict there?
He makes money, but he's not happy about making money out of it.
Look, I was mining Bitcoin because I was a gamer, right? I had gaming PCs with powerful graphics cards that just so happened to be very good at mining in those days, right? The world has changed quite a bit since then. And I thought I was a genius because I was creating free money to buy valuable Counter-Strike skins. Like, to me, the Bitcoin had zero value. And I am a skeptic because I think crypto has not found its, in French we say it's raison d'être.
Okay,
it's
reason of being.
Reason of being, reason to exist. Right? Why does it exist? How does it help humanity? Right? And crypto has been saying for a decade now that it was going to put the banks out of business, right? The people used to wear shirts at crypto conferences, F the banks.
Yeah.
Right? That has not happened. They were going to change gaming. That has not happened. They've latched on to every new trend, but not revolutionized anything. And so, again, I'm a skeptic in the sense that the current approaches are not working. This is hard for crypto people to accept. The current technologies people don't really care about, and they love focusing on technology. Right? Blockchain, NFT, layer 1, layer 2, they love buzzwords and technology.
Yes, they do.
As is typical of industries where you want to make it sound confusing enough that most people assume it's important, as opposed to actually making it simple and figuring out how can my grandmother take advantages. Because my grandmother, she's dead, but if she was using a bank, she'd be fine with using her bank. She was always fine with using her bank, right? She didn't need crypto, she didn't never need crypto. And so crypto has failed to make that reason for why it exists and how it makes your life better, your life better, your life better. It hasn't proven that yet. Could it? In the future, maybe, but I'm skeptical because today there's not enough focus on the benefits.
Okay, and so how does your company, HoloDeck Ventures, help this change things?
Look, I'm focused 100% on gaming because I think gaming, if we think of gaming, and I called my company HoloDeck, and there's a reason behind this. Do you guys know where that word is from?
No, I was thinking like hologram. Oh, no?
It's close.
Okay.
That is the origin of the word. But it's actually a very nerdy old Star Trek reference.
Oh, no. I didn't get that one.
We're still young. We don't know that.
Probably came out before you guys were born. But, okay, the holodeck was a very special room. Okay, it was a room on a starship in Star Trek. And by the way, Star Trek has more accurately predicted technological innovation than any other show in the history of humanity. Oh. Cell phones, iPads, like you name it. All of these came from Star Trek. Bluetooth headsets, all the things we use today and take advantage of today, inspired by Star Trek. And we could argue the creator, Gene Roddenberry, was an alien from the future, a prophet, whatever.
Okay.
Or maybe the engineers are like me who grew up watching it, wanted to create what they saw. But the holodeck was an important technology on Star Trek. It was a room, and you could go into this room and you could ask the holodeck for anything you wanted. You could say, I want to go skiing in the Alps. And all of a sudden the holodeck would transform. You're no longer in a room. Now there's snow,
cool.
It's cold, you have skis, you feel you're high up. The holodeck could create any reality you want, indistinguishable from the real world. Human beings are going to invent holodecks. This is coming within all of our lifetimes. And I think the holodeck changes humanity in ways we can't even anticipate. This is a bigger revolution than the wheel, the printing press, or the light bulb. Because the holodeck disrupts every industry on the planet. Think about it, travel, right? Why would I get on a plane with 300 other people, fly for 10 hours, then get on a bus to go stand 300 meters away from the pyramids in Egypt, right? When on a holodeck, I could climb them, I could,
But it's not the same.
But if I tell you the holodeck can create something that your brain can't tell the difference, what is the same?
Right, I guess if you don't know one experience.
As long as you take a selfie there, we went.
If real and virtual become the same, then it is the same, right? To our brain, well, it's an experience that our brain is processing and our senses is processing, right? So think about it, travel, education, the ability, the way we can teach kids through play, through virtual worlds, through holodecks, will transform the way education's done. Retail, how we shop, right? Now you don't need physical malls. And the kinds of retail experiences you could create would be mind-blowing.
So are you building a holodeck? Or what are you doing?
Okay, so now we know what that is. The company is named HoloDeck.
Holodecks are the end point, right? So I've built a thesis that says, okay, humanity is going to build holodecks. How can we make money along the way, right? If that is the end state. And this transformative nature is there's hardware problems to solve, right? So you need to build new kinds of technologies, new kinds of hardware, but there's software problems, and there's lots of steps on the way to get to holodecks,
I'm sure.
right? And so that's what I'm focused on, but a lot of my evangelizing is focused on how do I get people to realize that when holodecks arrive, again, we're talking about an industry that will transform the world. Like gaming, again, defined as the creation of virtual worlds, encompasses holodecks.
Okay.
So gaming becomes, again, an industry worth tens of trillions, maybe hundreds of trillions. We will all be plugged in. We will have no reason not to exist outside of holodecks for most of our day.
Okay, and why have you chosen then Dubai to set up shop for the ventures?
Few reasons. It's a great question. Few reasons. One, and Dubai has always been very good at this, it's this perfect sort of midway point between East and West. And gaming's a very global industry, right? There's a huge presence in North America and Europe, but you also have a huge gaming population and base in Asia. And Dubai is this sort of perfect middle ground. So from a servicing the world standpoint, Dubai, the UAE, to me is the perfect midpoint to be able to service those two markets. The second reason is conviction of governments. And you don't always see this. But in this region, and Dubai, I sit on, Dubai has a program called the Dubai Program for Gaming. I sit on its committee. So this is newly announced. They have a gaming visa now. There's conviction at the highest level of government around gaming, creating gaming jobs, gaming ecosystem here. In Abu Dhabi, you have similar conviction. In Saudi Arabia, they have their national gaming strategy where they're spending $38 billion to build a gaming industry. So there's high-level government conviction with lots of dollars being put towards it. To me, that's a place you want to be, right? If you're going to build an ecosystem, you want to build it in a place where the leaders believe in it.
Yeah, they're supportive of you. Yeah, definitely. So then, what would you like the future of gaming to look like in Dubai and the UAE in comparison maybe to other countries in the GCC region?
Yeah, I think Dubai and UAE have specific strengths. And, they maybe will spend less money than Saudi Arabia, for example, but Saudi Arabia's approach today is very esports focused.
Okay.
Right? Because their focus is tourism.
Right.
Driving tourism to Saudi Arabia, changing the perception globally of Saudi Arabia. So they're spending money on a lot of esports.
So tournaments?
Tournaments. Okay. They have the Esports World Cup this year with a $60 million prize pool, which is insanity.
You gonna go?
I'm gonna go, probably. I've been the last 2 years. They just renamed it. It used to be called Gamers 8.
Oh, okay.
So it has new branding now. But definitely they're trying to drive tourism through esports, through competitive gaming. I think in the short term, that's very powerful. Gets a lot of headlines. Long term, I don't think it's as sustainable. Dubai, on the other hand, already has a lot of tourism, right? And so where I'd love to see Dubai focus is gaming events, gaming conferences, right? Bringing people together, which Dubai does well. People pass through here anyways.
Yeah. Well, there's the Games Expo, which I attended this year and last year. Make sure to check out the full recaps if you haven't already, by the way. So I thought that was a pretty successful
Which
event.
I chaired in its first year.
Yeah. So I mean, the attendance is pretty big.
Absolutely. And so that's Dubai's strength. Now, Abu Dhabi is cash rich compared to Dubai, right? And so their approach, in my mind, should be more focused on how do we spend to invest in game developers to come to Abu Dhabi, for example, right? More investment driven, more putting money to work in the market to get people to come build games in Abu Dhabi.
Right.
Because I think that's maybe the most lucrative end of the industry are the people building the games, not just the people playing the games. So each has strengths. And I think if each region, each emirate, each country plays to those strengths, there's enough to go around for everybody.
Okay. Steven, do you have any more questions?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely mentioned the importance of events. You mentioned, Saudi having these big esports tournaments, and Dubai also, we obviously have seen our massive events here. Yeah. One of which is the Future Blockchain Summit, which I know that you were hosted an entire day of gaming panels.
Which was a lot of fun.
At Future Blockchain Summit. And you're coming back again this year, correct? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what we can expect from you at Future Blockchain Summit this year.
In the planning stages still. I will say, though, this year there's going to be just one stage at Future Blockchain Summit, so that it won't be split between multiple stages. All the gaming stuff will be on the Sunday. So it'll be the kickoff day, try and create a lot of hype, get some very big speakers to come from the gaming world. I think we're going to tackle some big gaming questions in the content. But, and I can tease this, there's going to be some, call it gaming entertainment, that will be part of that day that I think will be a lot of fun that people will absolutely not want to miss.
More interactive. The HoloDeck will be unveiled.
That's it.
Okay, looking forward to that. So then, Paul, I'm curious. So what are your favorite games then? What do you like to play for fun?
The greatest game of all time is still World of Warcraft. Okay. It's also the original metaverse.
Isn't every video game kind of its own little metaverse?
Great. That's a great insight. You're absolutely right. Because they're all virtual worlds in their own right. So they might be limited metaverses, right? But they're still virtual worlds that you can occupy and plug into. World of Warcraft, I think, is maybe the greatest game ever made, still to this day. And it's an old game now. It's over 15 years old. So I still play some of that. But I'm a first-person shooter guy. So I play a lot of Apex Legends and Valorant and Counter-Strike and Call of Duty. I like that competitive shoot 'em up.
I'm not good at those. Maybe you can help me. I'm not good at shooting games. I like more like strategy, like quests, or like try to save the princess or whatever, like stuff like Mario games.
Well, not too late to get into World of Warcraft.
Okay.
You could still put 10,000 hours there. But this is the why I rail against the Web3 games, because World of Warcraft was so much about the fun loop, right? That loop of earning the next piece of armor, the next sword, the next item, without ever owning it, without ever being able to trade it. But it didn't matter because the process of getting it was so much fun.
Right.
And so rewarding.
All right, Paul, any advice that you have out there for our viewers today on maybe that are in either the crypto industry or are investors, or any words of wisdom that you have to share with them, just given the current market right now and the state of things and where you think it's heading?
I think for people in the crypto industry, my advice is simple, which is don't despair, despite my skepticism, although I don't know if they're taking my words to heart that heavily.
How many dreams have you crushed?
A lot.
They are not in the industry because you said you don't like it.
But I would love for them, my advice to them would be really focus on the user experience and the benefit to the user. Not just in the product, but in the communication, in the messaging, right? So it's not about the NFT. It's not about the blockchain. It's not about the layer. It's not about the tech. It's not technology for tech's sake. Talk about how this benefits the user, how it makes their life distinctly better in some way. I think we will solve 80% of the crypto industry's problems if we focus on user benefit ahead of anything tech.
Yeah.
In fact, I would get rid of all the tech buzzwords. I would get rid of blockchain. I would get rid of NFT. I would get rid of all these things. And I would frame those concepts in words people understand, right? Instead of an NFT, just call it a collectible. People know collectibles. They understand collectibles, right?
Worked for Reddit.
Worked for Reddit. So for the reframing and simpler communication and focus on benefits would be my advice to crypto people.
Yeah.
For the rest, my advice would be don't sleep on the gaming opportunity. Now, it's not too late. We're still early. We haven't even hit the big inflection point, and that's coming. Because let me just try and hype this a bit. Gaming's already the biggest form of entertainment on the planet, right? But growing up, I had cousins, for example, who were women, who were discouraged from playing games. So they didn't grow up to be gamers. And even me, I didn't grow up with an iPad in my hands at age 3, the way kids are today. So if you think the gaming audience today is big, think of it's going to double in size just with all the girls right now who are growing up with games and being encouraged to play this the way they weren't 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So automatically now the market doubles in size just on the back of that. Plus you have so many kids now who grow up with screens. The demographics are working in gaming's favor. So there's that. We haven't even hit the big inflection point. So you're still early. There's still a big opportunity. But also if you don't work in gaming, think about how you can make whatever you're doing more fun, more gamified, whether you're in banking, travel, retail, education, healthcare, you name it.
Should everything be gamified though?
Yes, everything should be more fun. Why wouldn't it be? Fun is the killer app, right? If I tell you I have the most powerful way to change a person's behavior as a company, why wouldn't you leverage that? That you run Google ads and you spend money on marketing, but if I tell you here's the most powerful tool to get people to change the way they're doing something, I think everyone should be leveraging it. Everyone. There's no one who is immune from this.
Okay. Yeah, so I've had the summer, so you're pro gamifying making money, but you also want them to keep their hands off of fun games already. So stop tokenizing.
Take your hands off the fun.
Okay.
Even if you gamify banking, right, for example, you still need to make that gamification loop, that gaming loop, fun in some way.
Yeah.
It needs to be genuinely fun. It can't just be a cash grab, right? You have to deliver fun for that person to change their behavior, for them to become drawn into it. So I don't think you can ever take out the fun no matter what the end goal is. If the end goal is to change behavior, make more money, monetize something more effectively, market something more effectively, regardless of what that end goal is, what you deliver has to be fun. Yeah.
Okay, Paul, what is the best way for someone to reach out to you if they have any questions, learn more about your show, or to even watch some of your programs?
People should definitely check out Game Changers on CNBC Arabia. We cover the gaming industry, we cover metaverse, we cover some Web3 and AI. We're looking at all things future. So I think that people should definitely be following that, watching that every single week. The other thing is people can follow me everywhere on socials, on Instagram, Paul the Prophet, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. People can add me there. So follow me on all those places, follow the things I'm doing, and watch Game Changers.
Okay, amazing. Thank you, Paul, so much for your time today. I learned a lot.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's fun.
Thank you, Stephen, as well, for being my co-host. And
course.
Everyone, go follow Paul on all his socials and check out Game Changers, and as well, check out other episodes of the Web3 Talks while you're at it. And I'll see you guys next week.